Hello, this is Future Sue. Today we're going to talk about my pinboard. I did this in a couple parts, talked about it at one point, and then pretty much made it just with the camera running time lapse. So, past me, you can take it from here. One of the projects that I want to do that I've not done yet is I have some material to put on here. It's foam. So I want to put that on the wall because it makes a really good project board. And then I had the idea because I was like, oh, I could make it look like this pink cover that I did for YouTube. The pink cover that I did for YouTube. And then I was like, oh, I could do it out of fabric. I have fabric. And so these are the colors I've come up with for it. And I know I have a pink everything in this room because my office is pink. Proof. I love it. It is a deep fuchsia. If I can remember what it is, I'll put the color up here. But my entire office is pink, and I love it because of who I am as a person. Our bedroom is actually purple as well. It's like this color. But these are not all of the colors of that little swooshy cover page. So I need to find a couple more things. That's a problem. I need to write down what I'm doing. I did start. Number 17 on the list is I need to color match or just even just print. How could I do that? And at this point, it's really just an extra step that I don't need. I wanted to print to color match, but I've already selected my colors. So there's really no need for me to do what I do in the next 7 minutes of this clip. So I did do a test. I had the fabric, foam, all the things. I had the foam and I cut it down to the size that I want this. And so I took one of the edges and I covered it with fabric. I picked this up at Michael's. It's the Make Market EVA foam roll. It is a 12 millimeter, but it was on clearance, like I said. And when I saw it, I immediately thought about this project and making a pinboard. So I decided to play with it and just see what can I do because I've never worked with EVA foam before. So here I am cutting a test piece. There I used just my steam iron and just barely got it under there just to flatten it out. And here, testing it out with a fabric scrap to see again what it would do. And I decided I have hem tape. Hem tape is the duct tape of the sewing world as far as I'm concerned. So here I wanted to see how fabric would adhere, and it actually ended up being pretty good. I pulled the fabric off just to see how it acted with the fabric tape, and there you can see the hem tape did come off of the foam entirely with the fabric and still adhered to itself when I ironed it in half. So it's time to measure, and what I'm measuring is this space right here. Now it's time to cut the size I need. Now that purple fabric, we have to ignore that. That was the original idea. It was a fabric I drew. It's sketches I drew of our toucans and printed on fabric through Spoonflower. And I originally had the idea to do the pinboard out of that fabric, so it would just be the purple behind me. Now, while this was remaining flat in between cutting it and actually doing the fabric, I had the idea to go with the other route. And I would advise this foam, being that thick foam, it was rather difficult to work with. I'm sure there are other ways to do it. I'm just learning as I went. This took quite a while, and even after sitting it like this, that did not flatten it out entirely. As soon as I took the weights off of it, it curled back up. But probably if I applied some heat, maybe even just with the hairdryer, something gentle, it probably would have helped flatten that out. So I had the idea, this is the artwork at the beginning of my videos, and I thought, you know what, I really like that, and that would be perfect with the pink. So I decided, let's go to my stash and see what I have. This is fabric from my stash. In this, I did speed it up some, but I walked through my entire stash. I do have cut fabric in these boxes in this closet set up, but then I also have boxes of clothes that I'm no longer wearing. So once I had the idea to use the colors, I really wanted to use fabric out of my stash as much as I could, because there's so much waste. Because every year the U.S. sends over 17 million tons of textile waste to landfills. I believe the last time I looked, the fashion industry is the number 2 polluter in the world. So I figure why not contribute to that this time and go with my stash, because I have so much. These colors very much aligned to colors I wear all the time. I have a lot of pink and I have a lot of purple. And of course, when I have gone to buy new fabric, I tend to lean towards those colors. Anything else is either project specific or me going, no, I have to think outside of this box that I put myself in. I'm taking you into the depths of my office / craft room here. This is one of my boxes of clothes, well, and works in progress there. That's a shower curtain I need to make. This is a box of clothes. The ones that I decided have probably some yardage in them that I can reuse. this point, I had pretty much the first couple of layers coming from the right to the left. And then I found that one last bit of pink, and I liked how it had the pink and the purple. So here I'm in my closet. I decided to see if I could salvage anything out of there. This is chaotic. Next, we go to the box of the clothes that I want to wear again, but that are too small. And I'm at a point where I have gained weight, but I want to lose it, and I'm not ready to abandon the idea that I will lose it. So I do still have some of my favorite items that do not fit at the moment, and I decided to raid that stash for t-shirts. So now I have my final selections here. Let's see how I did. Got back down on the floor in natural sunlight. Found the light pink, decided that would probably work. And I couldn't decide about the pinks, whether to include that like tie-dye piece or not. I ended up not liking that sort of dusty rose color. So that ends up coming out. But I do use those two on the end, the sort of those coral colors. So here I am. You can see the board. It is not weighted down anymore. It did flatten okay, but again, it still has those curls on the end where it really wants to curl back up. I still might need to put that to some heat eventually, but here I've started cutting fabric to fit. No cutting needed there until I was ready to cut them so I could piece them together. This next piece is one of my favorite shirts, but I just don't wear it. And the color was perfect, so I decided to cut it. This shirt is one of the ones that actually made me realize I cannot stand a V-neck. Unless I have a scarf or something around my neck, I just don't like it. But I continued to buy them, and then I wouldn't wear them. So I have several V-necks in my stash now of things to be repurposed. Did not know what I wanted to do with this one. I liked the edges, the way that the hem was done. I really liked that, so I cut that off so I could use it as trim. So at this point, I decided I wanted to get an idea of the fabric that I had, the area that it would cover. So I started piecing these out and marking them with a seam allowance, using the shapes that I had drawn before just as a guide. It ends up changing as I go. And of course, where the piece wasn't quite big enough, I just pieced it together because I wanted this to not be perfect. I wanted it to be patchwork. Perfectly imperfect. Imperfect, yeah, no, whatever those words are. I took some time figuring out how to put this one on the board where I could incorporate at first I wanted to save the design for something else, but then I decided to incorporate it into the project. Again, because I love the shirt, but I'm never going to wear it. And I'm getting myself into the phase where I would rather do things where, use my favorite things where I can see them, instead of making it into something that I'm going to put away. And here I was getting in with this pink, and again, I wanted to use it in some way, but I wasn't sure how. And this was, I had a hard time getting it to lay exactly how I wanted to. So this piece definitely was the most fluid piece in it. I struggled for a while. Eventually I got it close enough and moved on. This shirt had some interesting pieces to it. It was an athletic shirt, and it has that venting on the side, and it had some curious, I liked the way that it layered itself, so I end up using that elsewhere on the board, but I use it in a different place. And this is the last piece. I decided to add some texture. It turns out interesting. I don't hate it. I could have put more thought into it. This board really is probably indicative of who I am. Very colorful and lots of texture. Here we are in the sewing process. My videos got out of order, and there was more than once that didn't realize that my battery had died. So I missed some footage, and you see a lot of my hands as I try to figure out how to get this shot. I thought I had videoed piecing all of this together and sewing it all together. I did not. But this is me trying to sort of put it on the board, and you'll see I only ended up using sort of the edges along that tie-dye piece, but then I brought some more of it back at the bottom for a pocket, which I will creatively not have in the shot the entire time I'm working on it. Mercifully, I cut out the 5 minutes that you saw nothing but my elbow. Oh look, there's my pockets. I used the mesh and the other pink, and there's some layered pockets there. Once I had the size where I knew everything was going to land, I pinned that corner piece to the larger piece that I had already put together and sewed that on. Alright, so everything is sewed together, the main piece with the pockets, and was having an idea here to do pin loops or something like that. I opted not. Instead, I decided to pull out all different kinds of trim and see how I could make pin loops out of those. Again, I opted not to. Here I was using a two-sided interfacing and trying to figure out how to best do it. And it was trial and error, and you know what? It is stuck to the board, and we won't talk about that. As I was ironing the finishing touches, I did end up with a bubble down the purple, and I decided I would cut it so it would lay flat, and then I pulled out some of these appliques. Then I needed to fold everything around the back and secure it. Again, I used hem tape because it is the duct tape of the sewing world, and you will not convince me otherwise. I adhered it to the wall with nails. I tried to do them in the folds of the fabric or at the seams where I could hide them. There is one within this upper left corner in those folds. There is one under the pockets on the bottom left. And here is me just putting some things on it. I do collect enamel pins, and I use them as push pins. Again, I don't want things that are going to be stored away, so I have always used my enamel pins as push pins. These are just some of my favorites. And ta-da! It's done. It's on the wall, and here are my pins. I was a firefighter. Gay. Not today, Jesus. I love the Duramatter. Tough Mother. Instagram I used to follow. All men are cremated equal. No whining. Stay spooky. Some from previous jobs. Some artwork from my best friend's little baby. And that dear Abby has followed me around for ages. Dear Abby, at least 40 years ago, our son, who was in junior high, needed a motto to use in an art project. So I gave him a Chinese proverb I found in Reader's Digest. I cut it out, put it in an antique frame, and it's been hanging on our wall ever since. If there is righteousness in the heart, there will be beauty in the character. If there be beauty in the character, there will be harmony in the home. If there is harmony in the home, there will be order in the nation. When there is order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. E. Colby. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you liked it, tell me. Put it down in the comments. If you'd like to see something different, tell me that too. I'd love to know what you'd like to see. Until then, see you later.